Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I thought I would chat with you guys a little bit about one of the biggest problems we see out there with these workouts that people always put out, is that working out isn't actually particularly beneficial to you other than just burning a few calories. Because you'll always see this, and I'll see people who make even these videos or put up stuff of the perfect arm workout or the perfect chest workout or even the perfect bench press workout. Well, the problem is that all they do is just give you a set of exercises with nothing regarding any sort of programming or instructions or anything else. And the problem we have is that the idea that this is going to create an adaptation of some type is really the problem. Because realistically, we shouldn't be working out. Like, I'm actually opposed to the entire idea of working out. Like, working out just means that you're coming in and doing some exercise, right? You're doing, or a set of exercises, just for the purpose of working something, right? You're working out. But it's not the same thing as training. And you have to understand the difference between these terms. In other words, it's possible for someone to come in and work out and never make any progress at all, right? To not get anywhere, not do anything. They just burn a few calories, get a pump or whatever, and go home. It falls under the category of exercising. It's something that you're doing is just an immediate gratification. Training, on the other hand, is a planned system of progression, right? A planned system of progression. And training can be something as simple as a linear full body novice program. You know, we would think of as a linear progression. That could be anything from one of my novice programs. I have actually 3 basic ones out there. All right, 3 basic ones. Or it could be something like starting strength or strong lifts, which are a systematic approach to coming in and training your full body to get stronger with workloads that for someone at that experience level should be enough to facilitate muscle growth. But you have a planned progression of progressive overload, right? Now, on the other hand, it could be something as complicated as like the conjugate method, which is what I do personally these days, and a decent chunk of my clients do, to where we actually have a 4-day rotation to where we come in and we max out on 2 different exercises, somewhat determined by rules. We hit a 1-rep max twice a week, and then we look at our weak points on those, and then we come in and we train a bunch of supplemental lifts based upon our weak points that we see develop from the maxes, okay? And a systematic approach, followed by 2 days of dynamic effort work every week, in which we are doing speed work based upon percentages of our maxes that follow 3-week pendulum waves, right? They're set into 3-week pendulum waves in which you have a planned progression over the 3 weeks, and then you reset into a different modality. Followed again by supplemental work to where you work on your weakest muscle groups in your whole kinetic chain. And the same system, of course, does GPP work or general physical preparedness or metabolic conditioning on off days or in between to get into shape. Now, generally, what you see when people say, hey, I have a workout for you, they'll have something that's a workout, and it might be you doing a bunch of stuff in a sequence or hopping around on one leg or bodyweight exercises. Oftentimes, these other forms of workouts that you see are just a metabolic conditioning session. Now, that can have merit. I do metabolic conditioning on camera 3 times a week. And, lately, and it varies, sometimes it's just me doing a 3 exercise rotation with submaximal sets. It could be, me doing chin-ups, like just 5 chin-ups, doing 10 step-ups on each leg onto a box, followed by 5 glute ham raises, and just repeating the circuit over and over and over for 15 minutes, okay? A lot of times people's workouts that they put up, that is what they fall under. They're just conditioning. And this sort of stuff is good for just generally getting you into shape, but it doesn't have a progressive overload or a program component. It's not training. These individual workouts are there, at least of that nature, they're there just to work on your conditioning and maybe give you a minor growth response. And if a person was completely out of shape and they don't do anything, they might gain a little bit of muscle doing that. They'll burn through some calories, they'll sweat. But usually you're looking at just a conditioning or a fat loss tool, right? That's all they fall under. But those are usually part of a larger program. That's something that a person might do who is using it as a supplemental amount of work for conditioning as part of a larger strength program. Right, as part of a larger strength program. That is not your main training. Those little workouts are just conditioning workouts. And I've seen people put them out. You've seen even Athlete X and other people put them out. But you need to understand those are not your main training. Those are little supplemental workouts for conditioning purposes, to either work on conditioning, to work on calorie burn, which could, again, not just for fat loss, it's also for overall energy turnover, to work on active recovery, things like that. That's what they're there for. They're supplemental workouts, but they're not training. And it's okay in that context, and you'll see strength coaches sometimes who will put that out, or you'll see coaches who do that. I mean, even like Athlete X will do that. But he's hopefully not intending, and I don't think that he does, obviously, doesn't intend those to be your primary training. They're not training. And we run into real problems when these other people start putting out workouts that aren't conditioning based. They actually will have a workout of, your workout is a bench press, and then a dumbbell chest press, and then a fly, and it's a chest workout. Okay, well, that doesn't work. That's a complete waste of time, because there's no progression planned. Because you're now getting into things that are intended for strength and hypertrophy. This is no longer just conditioning. Because they're working out just a single body part, or a couple of body parts, being done with resistance training, using close to limit sets. That's not cardio anymore. Well, you need to understand these other things that are being done, the Metcon type stuff, that's intended basically for cardio purposes. It's not intended to be a primary training response. So when these workouts get kicked out that people make the perfect workout, oh, this is science-based perfect workout. And we see a lot of guys who are guilty of this, everyone from V-Shred to Jeremy Ether. That's not training. And that's not going to necessarily help you. You could do their perfect workout every single week and not make any real progress. You might make some progress as a noob. Do you know why? Because noobs will grow from anything. It's called being a noob. Riding your bicycle will make your bench press go up as a noob. If you've never ridden a bicycle before and you tested your 1 rep max on the bench and rode a bike every day for 3 weeks, your bench would probably go up 5 pounds if you tested it again, if you went from being sedentary. But it's not training. And if you actually followed a structured training program, you would make 5 times the progress you would doing their quote-unquote workout. All right? And so these are not actual training. In order for something to be training, it has to be planned, and it has to have a progression in place that is based upon your level of experience and your needs, with the express purpose of creating a long-term improvement. Okay, it's not just coming in and I'm just working my chest today, bro. Well, just because you worked your chest doesn't mean that your chest is going to grow in a sequential fashion. Training is sequential in nature. It's planned. You have a game plan in which you know how you're going to go about increasing workloads and weight. You know how much workload is appropriate. And a workout is never, oh, this is a single workout. Well, how often are you doing it? How are you going about increasing weights? And if you don't know how often you're doing it, then how do you know how much volume to do? Because we generally have an ideal volume range that should be done on a weekly and monthly basis if we're trying to maximize something like muscle growth. If you're doing it for muscle growth, you better have the volume planned. You better have the progression planned, because if you don't, you have no way to ensure adaptation. Because stress, recovery, adaptation, that's the cycle that facilitates muscle growth. That's the cycle that facilitates improvements in strength. And if you're not ensuring that your stress is adequate to break homeostasis, but inside of the ideal range that you can recover and adapt in time, you have no way to know if it's working. Training has a high success rate because you already know what to expect. It's predictable. A workout is just going in and burning some calories and getting sweaty. Okay, that's just working out. That's exercising. It's not the same thing, and I'm generally opposed to workouts. And the actual idea you see behind a lot of these workouts that people put out is they're basically just conditioning, or they're just a group of exercises that they've thrown together. And they're not giving it to you as part of a larger system. And if it's not part of a larger system of plan, progression, and programming and training, it really doesn't have any value to you. And it's generally a waste of time. Alright guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.